Hi, it's Calvin Niles, the mindful storyteller, and I am delighted to share with you stories of awakening. Each week, I'm going to be talking to people from around the world of various backgrounds and experiences. People I love, I know, and people I admire, but also those who are completely new to me. One thing all my guests will have in common is that they have been through a journey of awakening. By awakening, I mean a call to higher consciousness and deeper self-awareness beyond material reality. These stories will be real, challenging, funny, stimulating, and insightful. We're going to take our good time with these conversations. So listen from your comfy chair with your favorite drink, or on your weekend stroll, your morning routine, or whatever makes you happy. Stories of Awakening with me, Calvin Niles, and I look forward to you tuning in. My friend Mitra, I'm so happy that you finally made it because we've been talking for a long time, and I know about the amazing work that you do. I know about the mindful space or mindful dot space. Your mindfulness and meditation initiative. And, I don't even remember, we probably connected in the first lockdown 1.0, but I'm just so glad to have you here. Welcome and delighted to learn more about your story. I don't even actually know all of it. I know some of it, but not all of it. So glad to have you here. Welcome. And yeah, let's just start wherever you want to start, wherever you want to start. How did your journey towards higher consciousness begin? Where did it begin?
Well, thank you, Calvin. It's almost like an amazing thing that we got together finally, and it is a pleasure and privilege to me. And yes, we did connect quite a long while ago now, and we have been following each other's stories as well. And it's so nice that we finally made it here today to have a heart to heart. And so thank you for making it happen.
No, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
you know
Our, yeah, go for it.
No, I was saying, the seed in me was planted long back, and there is a story, and like everything has a story, and I am just blessed that I am in a position situation where um, people are not only appreciating but benefiting from the work that I've created. But it began not like this today, but like a raw material, very rawness back in India. So that's where it all began. Yeah.
So, back in India, you had an experience which woke you up to something, or um, is it more that because I remember vaguely we had a couple of conversations, and I know you have done a lot of work in ashrams and you've done a lot of stuff all internationally, and a lot of work in Asia, especially in India. But how far are you going back? Because I know that obviously you're from India. So how far are you actually going back when you say it, it kind of all began there?
So, most of the people think that Indians are all spiritual or they know about meditation, which is not true. Because if you say India is a religious country, and
Mm,
religion and meditation and mindfulness are a little bit apart. And I used to study so obviously my family comes from a very traditional family, and I used to study in a school, and so there's a place near Lucknow. It's called Gorakhpur. And I used to study in a school there, and over the weekends, or when you have those days away with the school and everybody goes for picnic and things like that. And there was a place where Gautam Buddha left his body, as they say. So that's where, I mean, millions of people go there every year. It's called it's very near to Gorakhpur, and we used to go there as a school um, for picnic, and I would see this beautiful place and this beautiful statue of Buddha lying down, and every angle you look at that statue, it's smiling. And obviously, I was very young. I must have been about 10 or 12, maybe 15, and it never registers then. And then we started going there more and more. And when I grew up, you study, you get to learn about Buddha and what's that. I thought, oh, wow, it's interesting. And then I started diving in more into it.
Hi, if you're enjoying this conversation, you might like SOAR Book Club. Many similar conversations are happening in SOAR Book Club, a book club for the spiritually curious. If you like spiritual books and community, then why not join SOAR, where we can grow together, learn together in a fun and nurturing environment. Click the link below in the description to find out more about SOAR Book Club or to find out how you can join. It'd be nice to see you there.
And it's called Kushinagar. The place is called Kushinagar, and Japanese have built that place. And when I grew up a little more, I studied in a Christian school, so I learned about Christianity, and I said, "Wow, this is amazing." And then obviously at home, I was born in a Brahmin family, so it's all very religious from Hinduism as well. Mm-hmm. So I got to learn that. Then at some point, I ended up in Dubai, and I learned Islam. Obviously, in India has a lot of Islam culture in there. Mm-hmm. I learned that, and I said, "Wow, these things are doing some amazing, amazing work, and they all have some amazing messages." But as a teenagers, we all feel sometimes trying to explore, so I started moving around places. And I started going to these ashrams so I went to where Beatles went in Rishikesh, or I went to Osho, I went to Sri Ravi Shankar, I went to the places where Sadhguru was doing work, or started studying Eckhart Tolle, and I thought, this is just amazing. And so while I was doing my engineering, my education, my degree, my brain was still somehow attracted to this little phenomena which I was exploring. And while my friends were clubbing, I was trying to do the nice clubs. These were the clubs where you dance, you cry, you laugh, and as a bonus, you learn this phenomenon called meditation. And I have never been, I feel, to be honest, blessed that at some point, at the beginning of my life, this school took me in that bus trip to Kushinagar, in a little village near Gorakhpur, near Lucknow. Mm-hmm. And it all just, so I think, when we talk about putting the seed, somebody unconsciously was putting a seed in me.
Wow. Yeah. That seed was planted clearly at a very young age for you, because you talk about, well, in university, all your friends are all clubbing and stuff like that. Yeah, that was me too. I would, I was all over the clubs, I was enjoying. So while I was clubbing, you were doing a different sort of clubbing.
I mean, I did enjoy my time of clubbing as well. It was a different trance then, and mostly I didn't want to miss the other fun as well. So I did look at the other side of the figure.
Yeah.
But went back to what gave me the real pleasure.
So when you actually went there for the first time, when you so this seed was planted, and then obviously there was a spark of curiosity which took you to explore all these different things. So part of that exploration was happening because of your life moving around the world, Dubai, moving to the UK, moving in different parts of Asia and so on. But then you then consciously said, actually, I'm going to make this my life, or I'm going to certainly explore this in a much more deeper, meaningful way. Um, do you remember when that was and why that was the case? Did you have did something sort of trigger that moment for you? I mean, like for me, for example, I think about a lot of my experiences toward exploration are always triggered by probably some sort of pain or some sort of challenge, some sort of discomfort, unhappiness. Something is there going nagging me. And I'm seeing, yeah, that's been happening for some people too. I just wonder, were you having an experience that was encouraging you, saying, go experience this, investigate this, or was it just like a gentle curiosity, just continually moving through your life since you were a teenager or even a young child?
So, what? I started volunteering into these ashrams very early when I was a student. And I was traveling to Nepal and India. And I remember this very, very clearly. One of the ashrams I went into, and and I could speak a bit of English. You know, I could converse or understand English. As now, my English is not as good as a British English, but I could speak some English. So one of the ashrams, which was having an amazing influx, and this is you go 25 years ago, they said, that my responsibility would be these people coming from New Zealand, Australia, and you'll be surprised, Calvin, that I can remember that it looked like thousands of people were coming from West to these little ashrams in India looking for something. And I had not been to the West, but we had the BBC, you could hear BBC radio, or, you read news. And obviously I was given the responsibility to look after, teach or train, or, of these people coming in from the West. And I thought, the roads in India are dodgy. The food is dodgy. It can give you jelly belly. The electricity is dodgy.
Hey, I know the trick. I know the trick for that, though, right? The tonic water. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. And I thought, why? I mean, you see the roads in West are fine. The electricity is good. The food is good. The the health is good. Why are so many people coming to India? And I used to sit with these people. Every week there would be 3-day retreat or 1 week retreat, and once we had finished our let's say meditation or talk, we would get down to sit down, have food together, and talk together. And I had that curiosity that what is happening. And these people, so if you go back 20 plus years ago, these people were in their late 60s, late 50s, who had either found everything or had lost everything, or had made a lot of money or had lost all the money, or were married a couple of times, and somebody had probably told them, why you need a bit of meditation. Why don't you go to India? And they just dropped in. Some people didn't even know what the hell they were doing in India. And it was over the years, we said, you have everything, but not yourself. So you have accumulated, you have lost, you have gained, you have given away, or you've been in this cycle, but somewhere you have forgotten yourself. And at this stage, now you're trying to find it. And some people used to tell me, why didn't somebody tell me when I was in 20s or 30s, trying to chase money or the girls or the house or the car, or but that's their way. And I used to think, would I ever be able to teach meditation to the wider world? Would I ever go to Europe or New Zealand and say, and it was in my mind, and I cannot believe that it has happened. And I also go back about 10, 15 years ago. 10 years ago, I was in Canary Wharf. I used to work for a bank, and I would tell my friends, ultimately, this is the plan.
Yeah.
And they would laugh, say, you crazy Indian man. We are stiff upper lipped people. We don't do this meditation. But how phenomenal it has been. And I know why. But I'll tell you later why this transition in West is happening amazingly, which is different than the 1960s story of hippie meditation. This is now really grounding, and I'm absolutely feeling amazing.
Wow. Yeah. So you came here into the UK in working in banking, but ultimately you knew that you were going to be spreading the seeds of meditation around to get everybody practicing. Did you already by that time have an aha moment? Like where, well, let me rephrase that. You definitely obviously did, but where did your first big, oh, happen? Do you remember that occasion? Do you remember if that even happened, where you were and how you felt when it happened?
So I think because so initially I had, because obviously I was born in a Hindu family and people worshipped and things like that. I had friends who were Muslims who did Islam. I had Christian. I used to study in Christian schools who did. So I knew what religion was doing. But very quickly I understood that meditation was quite different than religion. So when I had my first job, and when I had my first job in it was a little company, whatever. But when I got promoted as a manager, I made this a point that we will have a minute out to go inside before a huge project or before a huge presentation or before going on into great delivery that we were doing. Let's take time out. Let's get into that creativity. And that was the phenomena that I started doing initially in my career. And then I hadn't thought, but when I started traveling around and I saw this huge pressure on people to express and explain and deliver and be and reach to the top.
Yeah.
And I thought, my God.
You're talking about me again here.
No, I was one of you. I mean, we were the same. And I thought there is a link. Mm-hmm. There is a missing link here. Because the employee is busy on read.com or Indeed or whatever. And the employer is busy trying to see how quickly they can replace if somebody left. So that compassion was absolutely missing. You come work for me, I pay you, or you pay me because you work for me, or you say, look, I'm working for you. That relationship was not a real relationship. And that link can only be filled by compassion. And what brings compassion is meditation. And so I ended up working for this Spanish company, which built air traffic control systems for UK, for all over the world. And although I was an engineer, I got trained and got certified and got my degree in human resources. Because this is where I wanted to be. I wanted to be with the human being rather than a machine.
Yeah.
And thankfully, because I was heading the whole country, I had the opportunity to say, you know what, we are going to train our managers in a different way. We're going to onboard our people in a different way.
So by this time, so you actually got to quite a senior leadership position then.
Yeah, I was managing the whole, sometimes a couple of countries and looking after the business partnering of the whole human resources system. Or it gets interesting in that same company. So I started going around the places, training managers, training people, teaching people, but always kept this thought of mindfulness, where where I wanted to make it simple. I wanted to make it accessible, and I wanted to make it fun, rather than, you have to do something, let it become rather than do.
Yeah.
Be rather than, trying, making an effort. So I started making it fun. We would, do music, laughter, crying, whatever. But I started introducing it into a tiny specs so it doesn't feel like a chore. And nobody was realizing what I was doing, but I knew what I wanted to do. And it was phenomenally taken by, especially by people in Europe, which is where, or in UK or Spain or France or wherever I was going, in Amsterdam, where people had different agendas. And this guy, in my silk ties and silk suits, I was coming and talking about, there is something else. Why don't you consider? So, to answer your question, rather than having an aha moment, or being felt awakened that I need to do it, it was building up. It was building up. And the euphoria that I felt when I would next time go to this lying man, where every angle I saw, this man was smiling in that bronze statue. And then as I started growing up, and I thought that nobody's smiling, nobody's happy. Everybody has to be given something to be happy. Then I thought there is a missing link. Initially, I didn't think it was as a work or a business, but I thought that was my calling. That was
That's so insightful, actually, and that's cool, because I didn't even know that part about your story. I mean, I knew about the job in the city. I knew about that. And it's really interesting because you've obviously had this bag of tools, meditation being one, and a lot of the wisdom that you got from the religious teaching, from the various religious teaching. So it kind of gradually sort of compounded over the years for you. At what point did you, because you talked about, the Christian school teaching one thing, and, having all of these different religious teachings around you in your culture, whether you were in school or in jobs or whatever. But then you mentioned that meditation there was something about meditation that was transcendent of religion. Did you have a moment where you realized that, or is that something that you were kind of taught, or how did you come to that realization that, oh, meditation isn't bound by Hinduism or Christianity or Islam or what have you?
So, I was a very keen reader of history and things like that. And I was reading, I would read and also look very keenly on what's happening around the world. And if we go back about 100 years, and we see World War One and the Spanish flu, as we call it, and Second World War, and the Twin Towers, and the events. So the events happening around were probably enticing me almost. That, I mean, the religion is teaching something. People are doing something. There has to be a midway, and meditation is what I saw, is where there is no conflict. So people have no conflict with meditation because it has no involvement or guidance to anybody's religion. And the world, I obviously started beyond my capacity, that I cannot do what's happening in Yemen, or I cannot do what's happening in US. I cannot do anything happening in Afghanistan, or I cannot do whatever is happening in UK or Europe and Haiti, or I cannot. My limitations are very, very limited. And there will be a time when I will probably not be there, but whoever comes around my vicinity, or, around my space, maybe I could tell them, you know what, there is a place you can go. which has no boundaries. And you don't need a place for that. And that's where I thought, I will I'll create my own, because meditation also has lots of baggage. If you, there's Buddhism, Jainism, there is different kind of things, and there are different rules and regulations. Meditation probably people say it's about 5,000 years or whatever. I don't care about that. But the human race or human possibilities have changed. The human 2020 is not the same as human 5,000 years ago, and people don't have time. So can you simplify meditation, but still keep the essence of it? And that's where I started working on it, rather than attaching it to the soul, mind, body, religion, or the benefits. You create something where the person does not need any contemplation around whether they should do or not do. So simplifying meditation became my sole mission, because I knew meditation. Because if you look at this little Indian guy in a little village trying to go around the globe and achieving things, which people say achieving things, how I was inside, I don't, only I know. And when you think, all that kept me going was that little seed. Now, how do you make it simple for this suited booted guy and this very ambitious girl, or everybody in London City pacing to achieve something? How do you make it simple? And that's where, around 5-6 years ago, I said, I'm going to start working on this.
Yeah.
And I will create, I will design. And that's how it all ended up a few years ago into this mindful space.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So you kind of, in your journey, almost always knew something inside of you had this calling. You talked about, being from a Brahmin family background. You talked about the different cultures and experiences in your travels. You talked about the different teachings you were exposed to. So all of these things are, being nurtured inside of you. And the moment happened 6 years ago where you went, right, this is now the time where I really got to do this. What brought you to that decision?
I think because, in fact, I would say about 10 odd years ago, and I said, I have to do something. But when you are, so how this whole world and society is working, it was not possible for me to say, when I used to work in ashrams in Nepal, you didn't need any money. There are, I remember there were some times when, people will give you food, people will give you clothes, people will give you whatever you wanted. You come to Australia, New Zealand, and it's a different ballgame. So, and thankfully I had my education so I could do my jobs and things like that. But at the back of my mind, I always had that this is what I am going to do. But it takes time, because, living in London or Hertfordshire, when I used to live, I cannot go to the world and say, what, I am going to teach you meditation. I'm going to give up my job, but I will run out of food and mortgage and things like that. So obviously I worked, and I really worked hard, because the mission was to be somewhere else and do something else, not as a thought of business, but as a thought that, because this is what I know, that I was born and I will die. I was born and I will die. In between is the time that I need to enjoy. And all I enjoyed doing was talking people about meditation. I'm pretty sure some of my friends hate me Some of them laugh because everywhere this guy meets is talking about laughter, because the world has become accustomed to misery, to sorrow. So if you are going through something amazingly sad in your life, there'll be hundreds of people who will flock around you to say, oh, feel very sorry. But I want to say, this is a part. This is the journey between the cradle and the grave. This is what it is. But nobody's telling you that, because there's no benefit in that. People want you to live in an illusion which is beyond illusion. But does it mean that I am going to give up everything between that cradle and the grave? Hell no. I am going to enjoy this life to the fullest till it. But there is a process, and how do I do it? I can be successful in my job, in my business, in my family life, in my love life, or I can say goodbye to things when they don't work. I can I can create that space in my mind to make better decisions. Only meditation can do it. And the scientists, thankfully, are proving it now.
Yeah. Wow. So, yeah, I can see there's a very clear thread in your experience, which brought you to this point. Spreading the meditation helped you along your own journey to, I guess, develop wisdom and insight and so on. So I guess maybe a nice way to kind of round up would be to find out what's next on the path for you, in as it pertains to your own journey of awakening, your own story, your own work, whatever you feels big and sort of looming large.
Yeah, no, it's an amazing. But I just want to thank you first, Calvin, for taking our time, and it's been amazing. As you can see, I can talk for 25 years.
I love it.
So we'll have to do it again. And so, as a very humble beginning, I created this mindfulyou.space, a place where people can go and they go on a journey. So my principal aim is to take away the overwhelm of meditation. Just take away the pressure, because if you remember, the PPIs were missold in Britain. The meditation is also being missold to the West because there is a commercial thing behind it. Meditation should set you free, just like love does. And
wow. Hey, I mean, if you ever want to stop teaching meditation, you could be a poet.
But the humble idea was that, and thankfully people are enjoying, because we have taken away the teaching, we are giving experience. People plug their headphones, listen, and every month a new meditation comes in. That very recently we've created something for the organizations to give it to their employees as a benefits. And the third part is to create an app in the app stores for people to have access globally. So the dream is very small, but the heart's the heart's giving is very big. And I would love anybody to explore and go beyond the boundaries that meditation might have created in their mind, to see how much this brings the joy, the euphoria, the ecstasy, and how beneficial it can be in everybody's day life without even realizing. That's the big dream. I will not be disappointed if that dream is not fulfilled, because boy, I'm having fun. I am having fun.
What is most meaningful for you in 2022? Is it healing and forgiveness? Is it love and belonging? Or maybe it's the courage to be and to act. SOAR Book Club has all of this for you. If you want to read more and need accountability to keep you moving forward in your already busy life, are you looking for inspiration to develop your spiritual awareness? Maybe you want to be part of a positive community during these uncertain times, or connect with like-minded people who love stories and books. Then join SOAR Book Club. Hop on board. The train is about to leave the station, and I would love to have you on the journey with me. So click the link below to join. That's SOAR Book Club with me, Calvin Niles. I hope to see you there.